In 1982, the good people at Porsche wanted another front-engine transaxle sports car that was actually a Porsche, so they ditched the 924, which was mostly an Audi anyway, and gave us the very Porsche 944. No Volkswagen, no Audi, this one was to be all Porsche, baby. No cup holder. What? You didn't think we'd upload more content on this channel? Get in the fucking car, it's time to drive. Okay, at the time of filming, 2022, you might think any front-engine Porsche that's not like the Panamera or like the Cayenne or Macan, you might think anything that has flip-up headlights and a transaxle is just like super undesirable, and I don't really blame you, but according to the internet, they sold 163,000 units of the 944, and it was the best-selling Porsche of all time until 1996 when the Boxster came out. So nowadays, you might not see a lot of 944s, but way back when, they moved a lot of product. And the unfortunate truth is, if you do see a 944 nowadays, or really any transaxle, front-engine, old-school Porsche, they're probably beat to shit. Now here before us, or behind me, is my 1987 944 NA, and it's, 35 years old. 2 years older than me, in fact, which is crazy because with my receding hairline, I look like I could be this thing's dad. But jokes aside, although this is a stunning example of what Porsche was doing way back in this retro futuristic era, it's showing its age a little bit, okay? I might have a receding hairline, I might have some grays here and there, but I don't have rust damage. And this thing, it does, a little bit, okay? Single owner, mostly a California car, but it did spend some time in Connecticut when the owner moved around, and New England salts the roads, so yeah, we're gonna address that, don't worry. Few paint imperfections here and there, and the seats have seen better days, but all of that will be sorted very shortly. So admittedly, this might not be the perfect example of a 944, but it's perfect for me. You know, it's funny, back in the 90s, my poster car was a Porsche 911 996 C2. I got it at the school Scholastic Book Fair. I'll never forget it. It was a silver Carrera, and it had the word Carrera in the very Porsche stylized cursive font. And it was on my wall right next to Kelly Kapowski and a Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze poster. So I had everything I wanted in life, right? Some bimbo, some cool car, and Ninja Turtles. Now, if you were to ask 1990s Jory what he thought about front-engine Porsches, or any Porsche that wasn't a 911 for that matter, he would probably tell you that that's not a Porsche, right? If the engine's not in the rear, and if it doesn't say 911, it's not a Porsche, or maybe a poor man's Porsche. Now, all these years later, as a 33-year-old, I now own what is considered the poor man's Porsche. I own a 911 996 and a 944, so I guess I'm just like the king of shitbox 1980s/90s Porsches. Ugly ducklings. What I'm trying to get at is I never allowed myself to admit how cool the 944s were with their flip-up headlights, with this kind of crazy, very sports car, just oozes Neon Genesis Evangelion. That's all I want to say. This is like an anime JDM car, but it's not Japanese and it's not in an anime. And this weird like insecurity I had by like admitting I liked something other than a 911, that's gone now because I own a 911, and now I feel liberated. I have this huge weight off of my chest. I can now admit to you guys, I can admit to the world that transaxle front-engine Porsches with flip-up headlights, they're pretty fucking cool. I mean, again, The flip-up headlights, that's kind of the big claim to fame for this car, but the perfect 50-50 weight distribution, the relatively easy maintenance, I mean, water pump and timing belt, the fact that it takes regular gas, I mean, this takes the cheap gas. This isn't some like crazy expensive car to drive. It actually is pretty easy on the MPGs as well, and in 2022, that's a big deal. But maybe you shouldn't really take my word on that last point, because I drive a Land Rover and a 911, and both of those are like gas guzzlers. So this doing better than those two, that's not really saying much, but just let me have that one, okay? And it's true, the power plant coming from this 944 isn't anything ridiculous. It's an inline 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. It's not some crazy power maker. Again, it doesn't have a turbocharger, so it's not forced induction. This thing isn't what I would consider to be fast, but did I mention it handles? Now, I said something in a recent live stream that got me in a little bit of hot water when I mentioned that factory out of the box, my 911 didn't handle as well as this did out of the box. Now, this isn't stock anymore, and my 911 is far from stock, so kind of a different comparison nowadays. But yeah, when I first got the 911, I didn't feel as confident as I did driving this when I first got it. That 50-50 weight distribution is just begging to be thrown around. Again, you're not carrying a ton of speed because this isn't a super fast car, but you can get in and get out pretty quickly out of corners, and you feel confident the whole time. Simply put, because I know I'm kind of rambling here, this is a very fun car, and not every fun car has to be super duper fast. Again, I drive a 996 911 C2. Incredibly slow, incredibly fun, makes me grin like an idiot every time I drive it. This is no different. Open it up a little bit with a custom exhaust and you are good to go. Notice I said custom exhaust because the truth is, for these NA models, there aren't a whole lot of aftermarket options, so I spent 400 bucks. I had some local shop here in LA fab me up something, and it sounds... Now guys, I've gushed about this car already a ton in this episode, but easily the best part about this is the relatively low barrier to entry, okay? Again, maintenance, fairly simple for this car. The only upfront costs would be making sure that the timing belt and the water pump are changed. All in all, very, very simple. It's not like the whole undertaking of the IMS bearing and the RMS and clutch and everything that you'll do with a 996. You still should do regular maintenance. You still should do, mind your P's and Q's, get all the I's dotted, the T's crossed, make sure you're getting a decent one that's been taken care of relatively well. But once you get one, you're not gonna have to worry about it grenading on you. And I know this is silly to say, and I don't wanna sully this car's name by saying, well, it's the easiest Porsche to get, but it is the easiest Porsche to get. I mean, on the high end for these NAs, you're looking at 15 grand all day long, and I got this for like less than half of that. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're watching this episode and you're on the fence about getting a 944, I'm gonna tell you do it now, because although the car market is softening a bit, with these enthusiast-focused cars, they're steadily going up. So this is Porsche's best kept secret, but it might not be a secret for that much longer. So I mentioned that this is not stock anymore. This isn't a factory configuration. So what have I done and what's in store for this new death trap project? Well, I'm glad you asked. The keen eye will notice the things I've already done to this car. I've lowered it about an inch with springs in the front and an adjusted rear end with that eccentric bolt. Very easy to do. Just make sure that you're doing it with, some automotive know-how. Of course, I have adjustable shocks, stiffening it up a little bit, but it's still, pretty pleasant to drive. It's not rattling my teeth. I have a Momo Monte Carlo suede steering wheel with a Momo hub. As I mentioned earlier, there's a custom fabricated exhaust from the cat back. I have the factory phone dial wheels, powder coated racing gold. I think that's like my favorite part about the car. And another thing I absolutely love about the car are these hella touring lights I put on. They're kind of retro, they're very cool and functional, okay? They look cool, but they serve a purpose, all right? Because the flip-up headlights might look really awesome, and the factory fog lights might look nice and clean, but they throw zero light, all right? So if you want to be seen in the canyons, and if you want to be able to see things in the canyons on your spirited drives, you might want to invest in some touring lights. And I'm far from done, okay? So I've mentioned that the driver's side seat has seen some better days. Well, we've sorted that. We have some Corbeau A4s. Actually, we already have them in the office. We haven't put them in the car yet. We have Corbeau rails with the height shaver, so they're gonna sit very, very low on the car. We also have an auto power cage going in and some Takata Drift 3 harnesses, so this death trap will be a little bit less deadly. Still pretty deadly though, because there's, you know, no airbags or ABS or anything. So for anyone out there who's on the fence about the 944 and its viability as an actual Porsche, I'm here to tell you, it might not be the most expensive Porsche, might not be the fastest Porsche, might not be the most popular Porsche, but it's 100% Porsche. And it might be one of the coolest cars they've ever made. Yo, this black pickup truck that's at the turnout right there, they're feds.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they just put their lights on.